He was born with a genetic disease that caused the muscles in his legs not to work. When he was 5, his legs were amputated just below his pelvis. He was told he would never sit up by himself, that he would probably not be a functioning member of society. Many people would have thrown in the towel, but not Spencer West. He learned to sit up. He learned to walk on his hands. He went to school, faced your typical teenage issues, right? Isolation, failure, and pride. Also had to deal with bullying. But through it all, he appears to not have lost hope. He even became a cheerleader in high school, but after university, Spencer hit a wall. He knew he wanted to make an impact, but he didn't know how. Then on a trip to Kenya with Me to We, Spencer had an epiphany. He was different, but for a reason. And he returned from Kenya with his life's purpose to share his story, to motivate and inspire others.
We need to continue to build that community because we're not standing alone.
As a motivational speaker, Spencer has shared the stage with the likes of Al Gore and the Dalai Lama, and now he's prepping for his greatest challenge yet. He's about to climb Kilimanjaro, redefine what's possible, and prove without a doubt that being disabled doesn't mean being unable.
Obstacles can seem insurmountable when we're tackling them alone, but together, they turn into exciting challenges.
Please welcome Spencer West. How are you, mate?
Good.
Nice to see you.
Likewise, buddy.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Are you kidding?
So this is, okay, so obviously you came in your hands,
Yes.
but you made a conscious choice not to wear leg braces,
Yes,
right?
yes, I did.
So tell me what the decision, why not to go with leg braces?
Well, you know, it was interesting when they first gave me this option. They were like, everybody wants to be normal and everybody wants to walk, so you should wear these prosthetics. And I can't get mad at them for that, but I was like, it's a lie. Like, people know I don't have any legs, so why would I pretend like I do? It just seemed silly to me.
When did you first become aware of the fact that you were different?
You know what, I actually didn't realize it until the first time I went out in public and somebody pointed and asked what happened to my legs. My parents were so great.
And how old were you at that time?
Maybe 4.
Wow.
Yeah. And my parents were great at, like, treating me just like everybody else, so I never really got that until I went out in public, and I was like, oh wait, I must be different. I'm missing something here.
Was it a shock?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was because, you know, people, they didn't see me as a person. They just saw me as this kid without legs. And I was like, but wait, my name is Spencer and I do all these things, you know what I mean?
And so finding your own identity is so important for any human being. It's no matter what your situation is.
Totally.
For you, you just have a completely different set of realities to deal with.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get to that place where you could become, you know, okay with everything?
Well, you know, there are some days that it's still a struggle, you know, when people stop you in the mall or little kids are tripping over things. But what I did instead is I tried to add humor.
Little kids are tripping over things? Like tripping over you? Is that what you mean?
Well, me or their parents are tripping over them, trying to look at me.
Okay.
That's what I mean by that. But what I realized is that if I used humor to get people to laugh, then they could stop seeing past this and see what's in here, which, of course, I think is most important. So
That's an incredible place to get to.
yeah, well.
And so you're open about the struggles that you went through to get to this place, though. I mean, some of those darker periods must have been pretty intense.
Yeah. I mean, from the time I was born, I was told that I would never walk, that I would never sit up on myself, and that potentially I wouldn't be a functioning member of society. I mean, basically, there was no hope. They're like, at best case, you know, your parents will take care of you, and that's it. So, thank God for my parents, gotta be honest.
Well, man, parents do what parents do because parents love their kids, you know, and in the best case scenario, it's unconditional, right? But I'm sure you must feel a lot of pressure as well. I mean, because you look at sacrifices your parents made. Did you carry that as well?
Yeah, but you know what, though? We never really necessarily looked at this as sacrifices. We never focused on some of the negative things. It was more for us about the positive and, like, look, there are going to be some challenges, but how can we get around those together? How can you learn to get over those by yourself? And that's what we really focused on. So we didn't really look at the sacrifices necessarily. It was more about how do we move forward.
Big epiphanies. When was your big epiphany? Because it was pre you getting really on stage in the Me to We camp and really motivating kids. When did that start?
Totally. I mean, the big one ultimately was I traveled to Kenya in 2008, and I helped build a school with Me to We's partner, Free the Children, and we got a chance to play with the kids, and we had a great time. And they were doing what normal kids do. They pointed and whispered, and they wanted to know, only now it was in another language. And then we sat down, and somebody translated for us, and they asked me a bunch of questions. And after I told them what happened to my legs, you know, a girl raised her hand, and she said that I didn't know that something like this, meaning the loss of my legs, could happen to white people too. And it was really in that moment that I was like, I've missed something. Like, I just thought I was just a normal person. I was like, yeah, I don't have any legs, but that doesn't seem very exciting to me. Like, I don't get it. And then after she said this to me, I was like, oh, I've missed something here. I think I've been given these challenges for a reason, and I need to figure out how to use those to give back.
Just to get on stage and address as many people as you do. I mean, were you comfortable that first time you went out?
No, it was sheer terror. Like, there was 8,000 people, and they just sort of threw me and was like, okay, go. And I'll never forget the moment before I walked out. They're like, okay, we're running behind, so you need to cut 30 seconds of your speech. And I only had like 3 minutes to begin with. So I was like, okay. But it's one of those things, the minute my hand touched the stage, there was like this sense of calm. And it just felt right, and I just went from there.
October 12th, 1998, right? It's a big day. It's a big day. It was talked about a lot in the news, and now it only gets referred to sort of in passing in newscasts. It was the day that Matthew Shepard was killed, right?
Yeah.
And that was in Wyoming. It's your backyard.
Yes.
Talk about what, and he was killed. He was a gay kid. Talk about what that meant to you, that event.
Well, you know, I had lived in this bubble, small town in Wyoming, where everything seemed safe and the world was amazing, and we were so excited to graduate from high school and get out there and do whatever we wanted to do. And in 1998, all of that shattered, and like the real world came crashing down, literally and almost in our backyard, of that it's not always safe and that people are discriminated against, and there's all of these things that we are now going to have to face as we get older. So that was a real wake-up call for me to really start to see what the real world looks like specifically.
Did you face bullying?
Absolutely, for sure. You know, because they look different, there was a ton of stuff. I hung out with a lot of the girls instead of the boys, so I was teased for that a ton. One student in particular, I'll never forget this one time, I was going down the hall in middle school, and it was a joke, and I don't think he meant to be necessarily a jerk, but he grabbed the back of my chair. So I stopped abruptly, and my books fell on the floor, and then I tumbled out after them. And it was, again, I don't think he was necessarily trying to be, he wasn't looking for that reaction, but that's what happened. And that really, again, to me, was somebody played on my physical attributes, which nobody had ever done that before.
How did you react to that?
You know, I pretended like it didn't happen, to be honest. It was like, everybody goes through bullying. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to keep going. Of course, every time I saw him, I was a nervous wreck and sweating bullets. But it wasn't until later that I realized that this actually doesn't happen to everybody, and that I started to talk about it with my friends, and like, why didn't you tell us? And this is so important, and we need to talk about these things. So ultimately, I did nothing, because I was embarrassed. I didn't want people to think I was a coward or that I was, you know.
There's just, you know, kids do things because kids do things, but there's some people that think that a guy that would bully you in your situation, there's a darkness in his heart that would allow someone to do that.
Yeah.
Did you feel like a victim?
Yes and no. I say this because two things. Yes, I mean, he sort of preyed upon my physical ability, but I also did nothing about it. You know what I mean? So in that way, I was then becoming the victim because I didn't confront him. I didn't say that this was wrong. So I think it was sort of twofold there.
So you're going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, right?
Yeah.
Just a practical question. How do you train for that?
Yeah, you know, we've been really lucky. I'm doing it with my two best friends, and we've got this incredible trainer. He's like, his one bicep is as big as my whole body.
Right.
And so he's gigantic.
That is an enormous bicep.
It is. And so he's been working with us one-on-one. We've been lifting weights. We've been doing a bunch of cardio. So typically, I'm not quite as jacked as I usually am, but I'm just going to put it out there. You know, it's been helping to work out. Absolutely, yeah.
And so, like, in terms of cardio is a really key part of this. And how do you do it? Is it?
Yeah, so we're doing two things. So for 30 minutes every other day, I'm in my chair, like just either going around the neighborhood or going around a track. And then the next time I'm climbing stairs on my hands for 30 minutes, going up and down stairs the whole time. So to get my arms ready for both on my hands and in my chair.
People don't even want to climb 30 minutes with the stairs with their feet. People don't want to do that. You're doing that with your hands the whole time?
Yeah, there are many days that I don't want to do that either, but.
Why are you doing this? Why is climbing this important to you?
For me specifically, it was, I joined Me to We, you know, to sort of make a difference and to share my story. But after the past 3 years of working with them, I was like, okay, I've shared my story now. Like, I've got to do something else. Like, I came here to make a difference, and I'm so humbled to be able to share my story with so many people. But I'm like, I need to join the ranks, and I need to do something to give back to these incredible people that gave me so much. So I wanted to do something big.
You know, Me to We is an interesting thing because, you know, people love to be cynical about kids today, saying the kids don't care. Then you get into a Me to We stadium with 20,000 kids, and it's almost scary, right? It's like, what is going on inside here?
Yeah, 20,000 people cheering for social change. Like, the stage literally shakes.
That's got to be pretty intimidating.
Oh, it is.
Well, some people are freaked out by it. What do you think about, like, what is it about that you think resonates with kids?
For me specifically, I think it's that idea, and this is what I like about We Day as well, is that you don't feel alone. You don't feel like you're the only person that believes in this, and you're the only person that wants to make a difference. And that even just for me as a speaker makes me feel amazing, that to step into this arena where 20,000 of my new friends believe in the same thing that I do, and that's pretty powerful.
When you hear somebody go on and be a solid motivational speaker, which you are, a question that I have, because everybody deals with this in their own life, is, okay, but in your moments, how often do you practice what you preach? Because we know when you say it, it makes sense. But is it hard for you to sometimes put that stuff into action?
For sure, absolutely. Like at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. And yeah, there's a lot of times that it is, but that's really why I wanted to do this climb this year, is to actually, I've been telling these kids, you need to take action, you need to do something. And to be completely honest, I hadn't run a fundraiser on my own before. And I was like, I can't keep telling these kids to do that when I've never done it either. So that was the other motivation for this campaign as well.
It's great, man. The book here is called Standing Tall. See what we did there, right? That's what you did, Standing Tall.
Yep.
Spencer West, it's great to see you, man. Thanks so much.
Buddy. Really appreciate it.
Anytime.